This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Oh, how I love being a woman. Welcome to Girl Annotated on OAR FM Youth Zone. Take a seat in our virtual cafe as we indulge each other in feminine-focused issues. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, and welcome back, listeners, to Girl Annotated, the podcast where we discuss everything feminine. I'm your host for today, Edelweiss, and today's episode is going to be a really interesting one. Last episode was a bit of an introduction of the podcast and sort of introducing myself as your host, but today we are getting into the fun stuff. So I've actually just gotten back from Christchurch, and throughout my time there, I just couldn't stop thinking about recording episode 2 because I was doing a bit of reflecting over the school holidays, and I wasn't satisfied with how episode 1 turned out. Primarily because, if you noticed, I kept giggling throughout the episode, and that's not necessarily like a bad thing, but it was like my coping mechanism to stop coughing because I was extremely sick during that time. But yeah, I'm over that. I'm pretty healthy and ready to record episode 2. So, without further ado, ladies, put on your chic glasses, pour yourself a cup of tea, and take out your fun glittery pens as we dive into today's episode. So, Edelweiss, what exactly are we talking about today? Well, today's episode is Sexualized or Just Cute. Olivia Rodrigo, Lolita fashion, and policing what women wear. A lot of stuff to unpack here. Just by that sentence alone, you can already tell that today's topic will be a rather controversial one. But also, I think it's interesting and worth looking over. Nothing too heavy for today's episodes. There will be some mentions of sexualizing children, but we're not going too deep into that. I know it doesn't sound good, but the episode is mainly about exploring the double standards against female celebrities and many misconceptions of women's fashion. To do that, we will be looking at a certain internet drama revolving a certain pop girly as our case study for today. The tea has long ago expired, but was the drama uncalled for? Well, let's find out together. So, who has the internet decided to cancel today? If you are someone who loves the Gen Z pop girlies, you have probably heard of Olivia Rodrigo. She was a former star on Disney Channel and is most known for her song Driver's License that absolutely blew up during lockdown. She has won several Grammys and has several hit songs. And she has finally returned with her latest album, You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So In Love. But where did all of this online rage suddenly come from? Well, her new album sparked multiple reactions as she basically shifted from this rebellious punk rock aesthetic to a more softer, feminine, cutesy one. And this direction was a pretty bold move for her branding. But the most scandalous thing, the thing that made everybody foam at their mouths and point pitchforks at Olivia, was none other than the clothes that she was wearing to promote the album. Specifically, one dress that started all of this hate online was during her performance in Barcelona. She wore this pink baby doll dress, which was paired with knee-high socks, bloomers, and interestingly, some black combat boots to add a little grunge contrast to the look. Okay, baby doll dress, I know what you're thinking, raises a couple of red flags when you hear it without any context for the first time. People took one look at this and got mad because they were concerned that Olivia was sexualizing little girls with what was seen as a little girl aesthetic. Without any prior knowledge of this dress's origins, one could assume that Olivia was appealing to the male gaze and somewhat feeding into pedo fantasies. And okay, so I personally am a big fan of Olivia Rodrigo. I was actually an OG fan. I used to watch her old show, Bizarre Bark, on Disney Channel. You know, the one with the comeback song? I'm pretty sure you've heard it on TikTok. It goes like, I didn't ask for a glass of your opinion. But yeah, we're going off topic here. My personal opinion is that I honestly feel like people were so quick to jump onto the hate train and accuse her of infantilizing herself. However, I understand where this frustration is coming from because we are currently living in a world where pedophilia is sort of normalized. And quite frankly, it's disgusting, especially with online concern around the Epstein files, along with all of Jeffrey Epstein's perpetrators involved in it. Naturally, as a society, we have lost trust in a lot of these celebrities, and online debate has never been louder. But let's consider another perspective. Does this drama have anything to do with policing women's fashion rather than feeding into the male gaze? Let's take a look at what Olivia herself has to say about the situation. Let's take a look and see if the situation has anything to do with the male gaze at all. Let's take a look at what it means to be cute as we learn a bit about the history of cute and feminine fashion. We're putting Miss Olivia Rodrigo on trial. For now, that is. Okay, so upon the online rage, Olivia had a few words in response to the baby doll dress discourse. She took a calm approach when she was invited on the podcast, which, if you didn't know, is the official New York Times podcast. In the podcast, she said, "It's just this rhetoric that we've been fed as girls since we're so little, which is, don't wear that, because then a man is going to sexualize your body and it's your fault. It's so weird." She continues, "If we start dressing in a way that's driven by fear of how someone else might interpret it, I think we're losing the plot." So she's basically arguing that women shouldn't be responsible for men's lustful gaze. In her opinion, if someone sexualizes an outfit, she argues that's more reflective of the viewer than the person wearing it. And to some extent, I do believe that there is truth to this, especially because in this situation, people blatantly decide to point out that she was sexualizing little girls or that she's infantilizing herself. But that just shows how people are quick to pin the blame onto a lot of female artists before Olivia had any say of this. So she made it clear that she has no intention of sexualizing young girls. And so this whole thing started with an assumption made online. And I think what's interesting is that compare this outfit to, let's say, Sabrina Carpenter or any of the members of Cat's Eye. Those girls are wearing way less clothing compared to this dress. And I think what's interesting is that a lot of female pop singers actually have a very sexual branding. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Olivia, interestingly, doesn't. Her branding doesn't revolve around sex appeal, but her branding revolves around rebellion and teenage girls and breakups and all these like teenage things. However, I do also believe that because she is a public figure, she has some responsibility and has understanding that the way that she presents herself on stage influences the attention that she receives. Not to say that she shouldn't have worn that, because let's be real, there are double standards for women, and a lot of women get targeted anyway, regardless of what they wear. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe her stylist and team should have taken a more careful approach, especially since this is such a huge shift from her previous style. Audiences are always going to be shocked with rebrands, especially when they're so used to something else already. What I'm saying here is that context matters. I personally do not object to the dress alone, but to styling choices that combine childlike elements, such as the bloomers, lace, bows, socks, youthful hair, and youthful-looking makeup with adult sexuality. Her intentions were clear. She did not intend on feeding into pedophilic fantasies. She just wanted to look cute. But given the fact that she styles this dress with bloomers, and let's say something like a gust of wind happens to just blow in the direction of her dress and reveals the bloomers, it will undeniably look a little sexual. But I think another interesting perspective to this is learning about the origins of the baby doll dress. So let's take a route down history lane and let's check out the historical significance behind the baby doll dress. So from my research, way back then, in the 50s, women were constrained to the constricting beauty standards of having an hourglass figure. Nothing surprising here. Beauty standards, they always change. And in order to achieve that ideal body type, you would have to wear very constricting undergarments, which at the time were tight girdles and stockings. In response to that, women protested against the unethical body ideal by wearing looser, flowier lingerie. While the garment was originally seen as a nightgown, the sheer fabric would soon evolve into more opaque fabrics that would be more suitable for everyday wear and would translate to what we mean today by today's version of the baby doll dress. And what's interesting is that the garment earned its name from resembling children's clothes, but it undeniably felt liberating and looked equally good on grown women. It struck the realization in the West that during childhood, girls would wear loose, comfortable clothing, but for some reason, this would have to change when they crossed the line of adulthood. Clothes became tighter and the accentuation of the female body played into the mature style. Though this was mostly common in the West, this type of fashion would also influence women's fashion all around the world. For example, is the evolution of the cheongsam, which is a traditional Chinese dress. And though this traditional dress has changed significantly throughout time, it didn't have any direct effect of the woman hourglass figure in the 1940s. But still, the dress would change from a flowy long dress to a tighter and shorter silhouette. What started as a traditional style evolved into a more seductive piece of clothing. There was this idea, this concept that you had to show off your body in order to look mature, and that maturity is sexual. Which is why I think a lot of feminists adapted to this looser silhouette. Because the feminist movement believes that us women should have bodily autonomy, right? And that we women should be able to choose comfort in whatever we wear. So this naturally happened. And then during the swinging 60s, the baby doll silhouette was also known as the waif. And it no longer had any connotations towards child clothing. It was already the norm. It wasn't deemed childlike at all. This loose silhouette was paired with maybe like a little cute heel moment and a makeup look that would stood out. Fast forward to the 90s, riot girls are in. Baby doll dresses were seen as a form of rebellion against traditional femininity, and these musicians did this by blending the baby doll dress with their messy grunge look. Interesting. Seems kind of familiar. This is the style that I personally think that Olivia Rodrigo was trying to portray, as her music and style draws inspiration from her love of these type of musicians. Yeah. So, I think that's something applaudable. Because when we look at just how fashion has evolved throughout time, it has been many times used as a way of self-expression. It's just that, unfortunately, when it came to promoting her new album, the vision wasn't carefully executed. Yes, she had the boots, but her natural, and might I add, she's a very youthful woman. She has a really beautiful, youthful face. And I think that makes the dress look innocent and childlike. And that just makes the wrong impression. And added with all these people who are so quick to assume, it caused a lot of backlash. But I think another thing that's interesting to look at is that, so like I said, I'm a big fan of Olivia. I have been following her ever since I was 13, I think, 13, 12-ish. And just like all my other peers, we love the album. I think the reason why we appreciate this album is because Olivia is able to stay true to her passion, and she didn't let the hate get in the way of her doing good. This album, right, it's artistic, and you can tell that it's very personal compared to the rebellious, loud, and emotional breakup songs that she previously had came up with. This one is more softer and feminine. It feels somewhat vulnerable, and you can see the artistry of that reflected through the way that she just promoted her album. In a world where AI-generated visuals are getting more common rather than relying on AI-generated artwork, she commissioned dozens of artists to create original visuals for the album, from lyric videos to illustrations and even mixed media artwork. Every piece brought its own artistic style that felt personal, handmade, and just unmistakably human. It shows that she cares about artistry and that making music to her isn't about chasing fame. And look, I don't usually glaze celebrities, okay? I am very hyper aware about them. But Olivia's kindness just stands out to me. I think another important highlight would be the fact that she recently announced that on the 29th of August, she will be collaborating with other female artists for her Daisy Chain Fields, which is basically that's the name of the concert that she will be having. And it features an all-women lineup, and 100% of the net proceeds will go to charities dedicated to advancing and advocating for women and girls. When I heard about this, I truly felt happy to hear this kind of news because she's using her platform to make meaningful change, although she received this much hate. I mean, if you look at this lineup, you got the current big pop girlies, you got Doechii, Chappell Roan, Cat's Eye, and then you got some more underground artists. And then she got Stevie Nicks. Hello? Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac? That's crazy. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a really good concert. And thankfully for a good cause too. But yeah, that's personally why I'm such a big fan of hers. And I think she is setting a great example as a Gen Z female artist, especially because she previously released a music video filmed by children living through war in Congo, Palestine, Ukraine. She's a type of artist who proves that using her platform to acknowledge human suffering is not the career-ending risk that a lot of these privileged celebrities, and sometimes, dare I say, brainwash fans pretend it is. It's always the same, it's too complicated, or it's not their place to speak. But if she, a mainstream pop artist, can prove that the sky doesn't fall when you speak up, then I consider it a win. But yeah, that's my take on the baby doll dress situation. I think Olivia was right, guys. We definitely lost a plot. But yeah, that's my final judgment. Therefore, I hereby declare that Olivia Rodrigo is not guilty. But that is just my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you think it was a big deal? Do you think that we should stop policing women's fashion? Let's get into some different fashion styles and talk about the significance behind these different genres of clothing. One thing that really struck to me is that I feel like we've seen this conversation before, just in different clothes and different styles. I'm talking about the Japanese fashion style, Lolita fashion. Once again, I know you're seeing immediately like red flags right now, but if you don't know, Lolita is the name of a very questionable book that centers around a romantic relationship between a man and a little girl. But just like the baby doll dress, the name Lolita has nothing to do with the fashion style being infantilizing. The fashion style itself is inspired by Victorian and Rococo clothing, lace, petticoats, bows, modest silhouettes, and doll-like aesthetics. According to the Lolita fashion wiki page, While the style could be easily confused with a sexual fetish due to its namesake, the novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, the Lolita subculture emphasizes modesty and youthfulness. Most Japanese Lolitas are not even aware of the original source from which the fashion's name was drawn. The young women who adopt and wear Lolitas are not catering towards middle-aged men's pornographic fetishes, but to their own desires to be cute and non-sexual. In fact, some Lolitas state that one of the attractions to the Lolita subculture is the lack of sexualization in the fashion. In a society where the rise of sexy beauty has resulted in clothing such as miniskirts and low-collar shirts, which is fair enough. I mean, it's really cute, but we also have very unideal body types, like what we talked about with the hourglass figure just now. And in Japan, people who like the Lolita fashion style, they see this fashion style as a reversion to demure clothing, which allows women to dress for themselves rather than for the attention of men. So whether Lolita is a fashion or a subculture is apparently a discussion amongst followers. Many women who wear the style, they only wear it for weekends or for concerts or just for like a form of escape from their more prosaic daily lives. And of course, simply because it's cute. Other women say that Lolita is a lifestyle, and even when they're not wearing the clothes, they try to incorporate this Lolita ethos into their everyday lives. No matter whether a Lolita wears the style simply as a fashion or as seen as a lifestyle, this culture in Japan is sort of like an escapism to a fantasy world where you are free of the pressures of modern-day society and adulthood. And I think when I was reading about this specific subculture, it had me thinking that, while Japanese women of today have wider societal roles than those of their mothers, they are still expected to enter employment only until marriage and childbirth. And while employed, they are generally like placed in lower roles than men. This is nothing towards Japanese culture in specific. I mean, a lot of cultures have this negative culture where women are below men still in this modern day. And thus, these girls in Japan, I actually had a friend who I've met. I have a Japanese friend I met who said that she really liked the Lolita style. And she says that by wearing Lolita, she feels like she is rejecting the societal expectation of low-importance careers and homemaking in favor of a fantasy in which they can fulfill their own sense of princess-like aesthetic beauty and like avoid growing up in a more mundane world. So there you have it. It's all about creativity, craftsmanship, because a lot of these women who wear Lolita style dresses, they make their own dresses because it's a very expensive hobby. And it's all about dressing for yourself rather than for others. And I can definitely understand why people opt for it. It's cute. You connect with other people in your community. And it's unapologetically princessy. It seems like a fun hobby. So I understand where the frustration when instead of asking why someone chose that outfit, society asks whether the outfit is appropriate for a woman. And I think it's not just this Lolita style. There's so many different fashion styles where, it applies to not just fashion, but also other religions and cultures. But yeah, it reveals a broader pattern. Women are not expected to perform femininity, but, obviously there's, some rules to that. If you're too tomboyish, you're criticized for being not like other girls or being a pick-me. But if you're too feminine, you're dismissed as childish, unserious, or attention-seeking. And if you embrace bows, lace, pink, or doll-like silhouettes, people start questioning your maturity rather than simply accepting that fashion can be playful and expressive. So that's the gist of what I'm getting here from when I start reading about Lolita fashion in Japan. And yeah. Okay, listeners, here's an example. Here's something that I always seem to notice, and it kind of bothers me, okay? Okay, so I hate that it's cute to like things when you're young. And then there's this awkward window of time when people think that you're weird for standing out and liking cute things as a teenager and a young woman. And then the roles reverse and it's okay again to be cute when you're a grandma. Like, I am going to be wearing strawberry earrings and rocking a pom-pom-purin merchandise at the ripe age of 40 years old. Life goals. I am going to peak as a cutesy middle-aged mom and nobody is going to stop me. But in all seriousness, I used to be really self-conscious about this because, you know that feature on Instagram where people can see what posts you like? I get so scared because now when I scroll on Instagram, I have to double think if what I'm liking is socially acceptable within my school so that I don't get bullied for liking a specific TV show or a song or whatever. I hate that feature. Bring back to old Instagram. But once again, in all seriousness, I do feel like it's very important for everyone to be different because fitting into one singular mold is just absolutely boring. In my everyday life, I personally feel like the color in my life comes from people who reflect who they are without any care for what the world has to say. My teacher, she wears funky, chunky earrings. My mother, she wears elegant pattern hijabs. My dad, he has his own dad caps. And my sister, she wears vanilla scented perfume. Everybody, I know it sounds cheesy, but hey, everybody is different. And to be cringe is to be free. I think in our current society, there's a lot of bad things that are happening in the world, like what I mentioned just now about Jeffrey Epstein. And we always claim that our youth is cooked. And we're so obsessed with hating everything and calling everything performative. And it's just sad. Maybe we are all being overdramatic and we're just allergic to having fun. But yeah. But still, like, I guess it's understandable because in a world where a lot of stuff is happening, we shouldn't be ignorant. Us Gen Z are the future, and therefore we should be more informative. We should work harder to be more literate. We should fight to be more creative. And with that, I think we should have a balance. We mustn't forget that life is short, and we need to enjoy it. So, yeah. Ladies, pick up your content creation. Do that fit check. And most importantly, don't let people police your version of femininity. Being girly is fun. Period. So what do you guys think? Do you think the drama revolving Olivia has anything to do with policing women's fashion? Do you think we should police women's fashion? Let me know what you guys think on Instagram at @girl_annotated. That's all for today. Remember, girls, being girly is fun. Period. Thanks for joining us on Girl Annotated. Check out our Instagram at @girl_annotated and look out for our latest episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on oar.org.nz. See you next time!
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.